Herod calls himself king of the Jews, but in reality he is a puppet. He's allowed to reign only as long as he keeps Judea's wealth flowing into Roman pockets.
Herod is a great example of how a local king could work the system and stay in power for a long time. He came to power because he had, as a sponsor, Mark Antony, who was at that point one of the leaders of the Roman Empire. But after Mark Antony, along with Cleopatra, was destroyed by Augustus, even so, Herod managed to stay in power. How did he do that? He did it by reworking the system, walking the corridors of power, killing his enemies, defeating everybody he had to. He was an absolutely brilliant politician and probably a very nasty man.
The Romans were trusting Herod to keep control as the only authorized king of the region. Any talk of a Messiah could bring the rebellious Jews, fed up with Roman rule, out into the open.
So someone like Herod would, in fact, be afraid of messianic figures, not because he thought that God really was raising up a savior for the people of Israel, but because he realized this was the form that political opposition would take in a place like Israel, especially in the first century, when there was a kind of a rising resentment for the Roman authorities.
Robert is meeting once again with historian Professor Helen Bond.
The massacre of the innocents, would he have been capable of that?
He had a disastrous home life and failed ever to decide which of his sons was going to succeed him. He ended up killing 3 of them, and his favourite wife. So if he's quite capable of killing off family members, he's certainly capable of killing some boys in Bethlehem. He was a ruthless tyrant, as all kings and rulers were at that time, any potential threat, and they had to put it down.
While Herod was capable of massacring children in Bethlehem, is there proof that it actually happened?
The difficulty with the massacre of the innocents is that we have no evidence for it elsewhere other than the Gospels. And in fact, it's only in one Gospel, the Gospel of Matthew. And that's more significant than you might think, because the Jewish historian Josephus tells us a massive amount about Herod, but he says nothing at all about the massacre of the innocents.
We know for certain that King Herod radically shaped the world in which Jesus grew up. With the authority given to him by Rome, he launched a colossal building program all across Judea. One of Herod's palaces, Herodium, dominated the view from Bethlehem, a constant reminder of his power over the Jews. In Jerusalem, he designed and built the enormous Second Temple complex, an astonishing construction that was the heartbeat of the Jewish religion in Judea. Its footprint, the Temple Mount, is still present in Jerusalem today. Some of the best surviving examples of Herod's influence in Judea during Jesus' lifetime are in the coastal city of Caesarea.
Is this a racetrack?
Yeah, that's right. This is a hippodrome. He built the hippodrome here. Yeah, for horse racing, for chariot races. Caesarea was one of Herod's really amazing building projects. He just took a tiny, tiny fishing village and made a huge Greco-Roman city. He brought in Roman architects, the latest Roman designs. He built it all on a grid pattern, which was very fashionable at the time. He constructed a harbour here because Israel didn't have a harbour till then. He built a theatre here, and on top of a hill he built a huge altar to the goddess Roma, the patron god of the Roman Empire, and to Caesar Augustus. So this is not a Jewish town. This is a heavily Roman town, but it must have been one of the most beautiful cities anywhere, let alone in Israel.
Herod the Great had a long and extravagant life, but as reported by Josephus, he died of an agonizing illness at the age of 69 in 4 BC.